Caleb here, and welcome back to more Bad Fanfiction Theater, and we have a guest.
Hey, doll. Hi.
Candy's in the other room. Candy shows in the other room. So we have Who's back. This time, we're not reading horrible, terrible My Little Pony fanfiction. And we're not making really bad references to things. Well, maybe we are, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, don't say that, because we can't make any promises.
Well, considering what happened earlier, I might have to whip out No Me Gusta again.
But maybe we shouldn't say whip out, considering.
Well, I don't know. This is probably going to be one of the better fanfics on the show, maybe.
You know, honestly, I was, as I was saying before, one of the reasons why we didn't read this before is that there's a lot of exaggeration when it comes to, especially fanfiction, when the person compiling a list or whatever, or talking about something, just doesn't care for the subject.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of the exaggeration, like, oh, cannot unsee, and my eyes are melting, and oh my God, dogs and cats living together, oh my. So, just sort of makes you want to tell people to shut the fuck up. But that was basically why I was...
Maybe we should actually introduce what we're going to be talking about before we...
Well, see, I'm working towards it. I'm working.
Okay. My bad. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. No rush.
This was actually on a list with star turds, which, as regular listeners will recognize as the sound of disgust from Caleb, is possibly our worst and most painful experiment we've ever done. So, but I was not convinced that this one would be anywhere near as bad as Star Turd, because as far as I'm concerned, that is the worst thing we've ever read in our entirety of Bad Fanfiction Theatre. So, but this time we have decided to read Sparking Tickle, which is a Tony Stark and Astro Boy / fanfiction, and actually looks rather well read. Rather well written, and it will naturally be well read because we're reading it, and not because I'm half asleep or anything like that. So
though that's quite a possibility as well. I forgot to look up before we started recording what rank this was. I think it's number 9, Topless, Robot,
number 9,
Fanfiction list. Here we are. Yes, it is number 9 on the list.
Next time you should sing The Girl from Ipanema. That's just classic.
I don't think I have the ability to do that. But anyway, as we horribly waste time.
You know what I love the most is that you tried.
I have the song on my computer. I like the song, but I don't think I could sing it.
It's miraculous. It's miraculous. You know, most of the time, nobody recognizes. Like, I'll say The Girl from Ipanema, and people don't know what I'm talking about. And it's like, how could you not know The Girl from Ipanema? But for a while, it was like everybody used that as the hold music. I don't know why, but they just did. So.
So, as his show was saying, it might be most likely the reason why Sparking Tickle is on this top 10 bad list, because they were uncomfortable with the shota going on, the pedophilia tendencies.
Although, to be quite honest, Astro Boy
is a robot.
He's a robot, and it's not like he can actually grow and develop as a human that way, whether he's like 2 or 22 or 62.
Yeah.
So, really, that's something to consider, because when you get right down to it, and I have worked with people in Japan who are part of, they're like fairly well-known artists of, the shota genre or whatever, it is very much an aesthetic thing. It's not like an actual real, we're gonna
Yeah,
go out and get real kids or anything like that.
yeah.
It is an aesthetic thing only.
It's like the same thing with playing video games. You kill people and stuff in video games, but you don't do that in real life, and you never would in real life. Not unless you had some kind of crazed mental disorder, which people who go and do that actually have.
Yeah, and
They just use video games as a scapegoat.
yeah, and it's always been like that. It's always been like that. But I mean, even if someone had that kind of tendency, honestly, I would rather they, look up silly fan fiction and art and stuff like that than actually, you know,
Yeah,
do something to an actual person. I am totally okay with a completely fictional character doing
yeah.
something with a completely fictional character, whether it be in text or in art or in whatever.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't bother me at all. As long as you know it's fantasy and you keep it fantasy, that's really all that matters. The
yeah,
second
exactly.
the second you think it's real, maybe you should step away and seek help. Just saying. So, we're not really expecting this to be too, terrible on the shoulder front. We're more expecting maybe nonsensical orgasms or touching or something. I don't know.
Although it must be mentioned that Astro Boy does have machine guns in his ass, so just something to think about. So hopefully it won't go into a very dark place in
I
any
don't
sense of
think
the
it
word.
does from because I kind of skipped ahead and read Fanfiction Friday's commentary
Uh-huh.
on the end of it, so I think we're okay. I don't think it's going to get too horribly bad.
Okay,
Definitely
good.
not Cupcakes or Sweet Apple Massacre bad, and
Uh,
thankfully I don't think it's possible to get Star Turds bad, but we are on the same list.
yeah, we are on the same list, but probably not for the same reasons.
So I would say more often than not, it's just the fact that it was Shoda that really bothered these
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
But we're gonna read and find out. So,
so
say what?
so to be quite honest, we've got a dude that's in his mid to late 30s, and we've got a dude that
It's technically a robot in
is
the shape of a kid.
is a robot in the shape of a young man, but he is also, by now, something like 40, 50 years old.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say.
just just be aware of that.
So, basically, if you were along with Hawk and I when we read May and Buster the Teddiursa adopting a cute bear cub. Much like that, I cannot find an original copy of this story. The only thing I can find is the old link to the adult fanfiction account that it used to be on, but it is no longer there. And we can't even find like an archive of this. Like the only thing I can find is what is on Topless Robot. So that's what we're going to be reading from. All the actual story that at least Topless Robot bothered to save is in the yellow boxes. So that is all we're going to be reading is from the yellow boxes. So hopefully that prevents some confusion. Also, what might catch you off guard is when we get down, it's actually a 2-page story on this site, and it's going to be a little difficult to see, but right above the tags is the option to go to the next page. So I will mention that in case you get a little confused and lost.
This story,
And I'll
it,
put the links to both pages that way in case you still miss it, you'll be able to have both pages.
and it's mentioned that this story is by Ryuiki. So if you want to look up, I don't know if it's possible to find any more stories of this
No,
person.
I can't seem to find anything.
Yeah. But I mean, if this changes at some point and you're listening to this sometime in the future and Ryuiki has become like the new maven, the new god of like fan fiction, you never know how things change in
Yeah.
time. So just so you know, that's RYUIKI.
Yeah, I'll also have a link to this so you can see his little or her little comment they made in the promote story part of the forums for adult fanfiction. Just keep in mind the actual link to the story does not work anymore, and I cannot find an archived copy. Sad but true. So, did you want to go first, or should I?
Well, I always say it is your show and you should go first, but maybe we should mix it up a little bit.
Okay. Alright, guys, we are reading Sparking Tickle, a Tony Stark and Astro Boy / fanfic on Topless Robot. A story.
All over my tits.
Gosh darn it, Yukio? What? I'm starting to mix up my own characters. What? Where did that come from?
We'll get through this.
Oh,
it's
one of those nights, apparently. It's one of those days. I don't know why I called you Yukio. Now I forgot what I was talking about.
We were introing to the story.
Okay, let's try this again. We are reading Sparking Tickle on Topless Robot, which is a Tony Stark and Astro Boy fanfiction by Ruiki. How do you say that?
Yuiki.
Ruiki?
Yuiki. Yeah.
Yuiki.
Close. Horseshoes and hand grenades. Yeah.
Okay. So all the story part is in the yellow boxes, and let me try this again. Hushicho, not Yukio, take it away.
Yes. Look at the boxes. The color of your urine would be if you ate lots of asparagus.
If I ate something that made my urine neon bright.
Yes,
and
that
very
would be
thick.
Asparagus.
You know, we went out of our way to be like, we're not talking about poop or bodily anything thanks to Starburst.
Hey, you said no poop. You didn't say no pee. I can talk about pee till the cows come home.
Moo, they're home, so stop talking.
Damn! Outwitted again. All right, well, I'll get us all started. Mr. Stark, what are you doing? I'm so sorry.
If you manage to keep that voice the entire fic, I don't think I'll be able to breathe.
Mr. Stark, what are you doing? Astro Boy asked a little breathlessly. The sensation was new and a little frightening, but not altogether unwelcome.
We will be back with Bad Fanfiction Theater when Caleb and Hoshicho, who's totally not Yukio, are done laughing. I'm trying to figure out if this will actually work, ... Your father said that he'd put in all the parts, ... Tony Stark replied.
I totally saw that as put in all the pants. I don't know why.
Put in all the pants. Putting on the pants. No, I knocked my cup over. I love your evil laughter.
I don't mean to be evil. It just happened.
He and Astro were down in his lab. And
what is that supposed to mean?
It
has a laboratory, you know. It's not like an air drama quotes lab. It's an actual laboratory.
Well, here it's just a secret lab, I guess. Or a secret fuck room, maybe.
It's like a stall with a glory hole. Come on, let's not
I
party
mean, we
that.
are talking about Tony Stark. You know.
We're talking about Tony Stark. He probably has a toilet that can give him a blowjob. Come
Back to the poop almost.
on.
Okay, we
I
gotta
didn't
stay out of
say
the
he was
bathroom.
pooping.
We
I said he had a toilet that could give him a blowjob. That doesn't mean he had to poop. He just sits down on it and it throws it off. I never mentioned poop.
Oh, the commode makes me think of it.
That's not my problem. That's not my problem. I didn't do it.
I'm sorry for the epic fail this guys. We're gonna try we're gonna try to be a little more professional about this and stop fucking up, okay? Of his lab, and the boy was pressed up against the hood of the Cobra. I'm assuming we're talking about a car and not like an actual Cobra hood because that would be dangerous.
I don't remember what the Cobra is.
You're really far sounding away.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just sort of thinking out loud. I don't remember what the Cobra is, so
Isn't that like an old style car?
I
I
think
would.
you may be right. You may be right, yeah.
With the man behind him, Tony had one hand around the front of Astro, and the other was cupped around his firm ass, squeezing gently.
I guess it would be firm. It's made out of metal.
Well, I mean, granted, I haven't like watched Astro Boy or read the manga, but when I would think he'd be coated in some kind of material that would at least not only give him the appearance of being a little boy, but also maybe the feel of one. Maybe.
I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the new film, which from what I hear is actually quite good, but in the original one, it seemed to be whatever worked at the time.
Okay.
And usually it was either for dramatic effect or for comedic effect. So he could be hard as rock, he could have fleshy parts. So who knows?
Okay. The next yellow box.
Oh, it's me, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. A sudden thought occurred to Tony and he removed his hands. Astro slid to the ground and spun around.
Hey, we're not stopping, are we? Though he didn't quite understand what was going on, he liked how it made him feel and didn't want to stop. If he doesn't understand, maybe you should explain some things.
Tab A, slot B. Complex diagram, I know, but no, I just think you need a little bit of mental preparation before we do the deed. Look, I'm not the best teacher around, and I certainly don't usually get along with kids, so come here. Tony placed a hand on Astro's shoulder and gently steered him round to where he had various touch monitors. Sitting the boy down in the chair in front of the screens, Tony turned the central one on.
So, what is it that we're going to do exactly? Astro asked. Being from Metro City, none of the electronics around were all that impressive to him. I, you, you're a robot that can talk and do stuff, and I assume think freely. None of the technology from where you're from isn't what?
No, I think the author is trying to say none of the electronics around him in the laboratory were that impressive to him because he comes from a place where the technology is of a higher echelon.
Yeah, but isn't like Stark supposed to be like I mean, I know in the Avenger film he was like his technology was much more sophisticated.
Yeah, he is very sophisticated, whether in the comics or in the films, but at the same time, Astro Boy is way beyond anything in like Marvel and such. He's practically alien technology.
Okay.
So that much is pretty much accurate because he
Okay.
he has a much more futuristic kind of setting. So I will give.
Okay, I was just confused. Like I said, I haven't read Astro Boy or seen the anime, so I don't really know. But I got confused.
Yeah, basically Astro is pretty much a sentient robot. So that is significantly beyond the Iron Man suit and
Okay, okay,
even the AIs of Homer and whatnot. So
okay. Uh, none of the electronics around were all that impressive to him, though he politely looked around.
I'm going to let this show you, but first a few things. You have heard of sex, right? Tony asked. He leaned back on the console under the screen, crossing his arms and looking levelly at Astro.
Sex? Astro dropped his eyes in order to concentrate on bringing up any knowledge of the word. Yeah, that's what people do to have babies, right? I don't know how it's done exactly, but I've heard things. ... As he remembered more and more, Astro's face got redder and redder. Can he do that being a robot boy?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Stark, we...
Just watch this before you even think about anything else. Tony pushed a button on the console and the screen came to life. Astro watched and became more and more fascinated and uncomfortable at the same time. You take the next two paragraphs because
Okay.
I'm not just going to give you one that's just one word.
Well, I figured you'd say so, and then I just go right on to the next paragraph. But anyway, so this is what he was taught. He was always hearing about, but ... He never heard of two men doing that together. But there it was, right in front of him on the screen. He glanced sideways at Tony, who was watching as well, and his expression was hard to read. Astro turned back to the screen and found that a most curious sensation was washing over him, and it centered around his...
You know, I bet it's Tony and Rhodey on the screen. Dimes to dollars, I bet it's Tony and Rhodey.
Well, I'd prefer Tony and Loki, but whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if we're speaking completely like, likely and canonical things,
Keep in mind that while I know some things about Iron Man, I don't know a whole lot.
Oh well, Rhodey is one of his most trusted friends and confidants. He actually took over the suit for a while, and they're very close. So if two dudes were ever going to get together, then Tony and Rhodey are pretty likely. Anyway, not going to get aside on that particular ship, but yes. Astro flushed again and squeezed his legs together. Was it getting hot in here?
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. Sorry, it was relevant.
Now he found that it was getting harder to sit still, and he desperately wished that he knew just what was going on to make him feel like this. Finally, Tony seemed to notice and turned off the screen. He was smiling slightly.
Okay, first things first. Yes, males and females have sex together to produce offspring. Sometimes they have it just for fun, because, believe me, it is fun.
Glad to have something to focus on now, Astro cocked his head to the side.
Uh-huh.
But what about what you showed me? That was just two men. Two men can't make babies, can they?
No, they can't. They just do it for fun.
For fun? Astro glanced down at his lap with a frown. He'd never used his penis to have fun before, but the two men on the screen certainly did look like they were having fun.
You are a frickin' robot. You know, have I told you the story of the one Shota comic I read? And it was kind of like this old school giant robot, that kid detective thing. And like his robot apparently got destroyed in a fight or something. I can't read Japanese, so I don't know. But basically the robot was busted up. So a cop, I'm guessing like the police, the chief of the police department there, gives him like this sort of humanoid-looking robot. And little boy's like, yay, okay. And some stuff happens, and the robot ends up getting taken over by like these two thief guys. And apparently, when the robot takes off all of its clothes, for some reason, it has a penis. Why? And all I can think of is, why does the robot, I mean, granted I'm reading Shota, but logically, why does the robot have a penis?
And I say to that, why not?
I guess. I mean, sure, why not? I mean, we are talking about that, but I mean, this clearly wasn't like supposed to be a sex robot, I think.
You
I
never
don't
know.
know. I'm just like,
You
what
never
does a
know.
robot need a penis for unless it's like a sex robot?
I don't know. Sometimes, well, like with Astro Boy, for example, and with a lot of robots like that, Cutie Honey, for example, sometimes their creators want them to represent or resemble an actual human as closely as possible. And like in the case of Cutie Honey, for example, her creator, her father, created her in the image of his deceased daughter.
Hmm.
So it was sort of like Astro Boy. You know, it was something where they do have amazing powers, but they also are supposed to resemble humans because they are, in every sense of the word, intended to be offspring of their creators rather than creations. They're not so much like Frankenstein's monster as they are, like in many ways it's more like an offspring that they had a personal stake in building, really, because it really is very much like a child of theirs that they wanted to be like human in many ways, in all the ways that were really important,
Hmm.
which apparently involves having a dick. So,
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It was just like I was reading that comic and just suddenly the robot has a penis and I'm just like, why does the police robot come with a penis? This is clearly a robot in the shape of a human. Like, this is clearly a robot. Like, okay, maybe Astro Boy having a penis for some reason because he actually looks like, you know, a kid.
well, that's another case of, deceased child robotic invention taking the place of deceased child.
I could say something to the effect of, but no, I'm just going to walk away from it and we're just going to keep going. I'm not going to press this argument anymore because it's dumb. I mean, there is kind of a point to it, but no, no, no. Just forget it. Let's go. I think it's your turn, right?
No, it's your turn.
Is it? Because I thought I read this line.
No, no, I read the line about using your penis to have fun before. You got off on
Oh,
a
oh,
tangent about
okay. I was thinking for some reason that I read that and it was your turn.
that. No, I remember saying the word penis, so I'm pretty sure it was me.
Okay. Yeah, it looked fun, right? Asked Tony, raising a brow. A brow of what? Your eyebrow?
Yes, yes, a brow.
Normally, you're supposed to have eye before that, but
Well,
okay.
not necessarily. I mean, it is your brow, so anyway, it, it did, but I've never. Astro trailed off, not quite sure how to say exactly what he wanted to.
Well, you're only technically like 11, right? Tony said, and Astro saw that he was looking directly into his eyes with an intensity that was most peculiar.
The reason I showed you this is because I want you to know just what you're getting into. Think about it. If something strange like that happened to you and you had no idea it was going to happen until it was actually happening, what would you do?
I'd probably like attack or something, but Astro added hurriedly. I wouldn't do it on purpose. It would just kind of happen. He looked sheepish.
Exactly. So it's best to let you know just what's going to happen so you don't inadvertently kill me, Tony said with a chuckle.
Because I'd laugh when talking about maybe accidentally killing me. But at least
Well,
you
this
had
is
the
Tony.
foresight to explain it, so.
This is Tony Stark we're talking about, so.
I guess, so at least he had the foresight to explain before he put his dick into something. Mr. Stark, why? Astro stopped, squirming around with his hands tucked between his legs.
Ah, well, that's a good sign, actually. Here, let's begin.
Good job, Tony.
Let's get this show on the road.
If we're gonna have sex, we might as well.
I keep thinking, well, go ahead and get it over with. Let's get this donkey show on the road.
Oh, come on. It's the same thing we've done a million times before. It's not gonna be any different.
You know, it seems like Tony would be kind of bored of all this. You would imagine Tony Stark. Okay, you would imagine that by now he is probably, if he is going to do it, he would have probably already created an android to fuck. You would think that Tony Stark would have, by the time he's in his mid-30s, at least created one robot that he can have it off with. You'd think. But, yeah. Tony knelt in front of Astro and hooked his index fingers in the boy's outer shorts and pulled them down and off. Is this a What?
I was gonna say his outer shorts. Because he'd be wearing briefs under that?
You never know.
I guess, but whatever. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not putting enough thought into this. Maybe I'm just too simple for the story.
No. I think if anything, you're overcomplicating it. I'm just sort of like, yeah, okay.
Maybe. Yeah, one of those things where I just let it flow.
Let it flow. Not making a pee comment. All right.
I'm trying not to make a pee reference, because I said that and then instantly I thought to the episode of Beavis and Butthead where they couldn't pee.
Where they forgot how to pee.
Yes.
That was my favorite one was Pregnant Polls, where Beavis thought he was pregnant, and every time anything happened, they would play that dun dun dun.
I don't remember that episode.
Oh my god! I'll have to look it up for you later. You've got to see it. It is like the best episode of Beavis and Butthead ever. But anyway, back to Tony Stark having sex with Astro Boy. Tony asked, indicating Astro's signature tiny black shorts.
Repeat that because you buzzed out.
Is this attached? Tony asked, indicating Astro's signature tiny black shorts.
No, Astro breathed. Obviously, this was the first time anyone had been anywhere near this region of his body, in such a personal manner, and all the feelings and sensations coursing through him right now were bewildering. Tony looked skeptical, since the shorts indeed looked attached, but sure enough, he slipped a finger between them and Astro. Once those were around Astro's ankles, Tony spread the boy's knees apart and slid between them. Already? With no prep? There better be preparation, otherwise that's not going to be pleasant.
No, he's not sliding his dick between them.
Well, he said slid between them, and I'm like, he's already going to, like, in the next paragraph, penetrate him? Because I'm like, that's not going to be a pleasant time.
Or at least I'm assuming not. No. Reading ahead, I see. Okay. I was right to be
Okay.
cautious.
Hi, Eddie.
Yeah. So, all right. Mr. Stark, Astro gasped. His erect little member was almost in the man's face, and Astro had no idea what to do next. Their eyes met.
Okay, what I'm going to do is put your cock in my mouth. I'm going to suck on it until you orgasm. Then it'll be my turn. Well, I guess that is if you can orgasm.
You know what's kind of I'm not sure what the adjective is for this, but I can hear Tony Stark saying this. It's actually really good dialogue because I can totally hear him saying this. I can hear both of them saying this. Like, whoever wrote this actually had a very good grasp of the characters and how they speak because I can hear them saying this. But,
Cause cause I know you was talking about how that felt very natural. You know, like you could see Stark saying all this.
yeah.
So
All right. Orgasm? Astro is quite astonished at the bluntness of Tony's words.
yeah, when you come, if that's possible in a robot.
Come? When Tony talked, his warm breath trailed over Astro's groin, and the sensations heightened, and he really wasn't paying as much attention to the words as he should be.
When you shoot your load, remember in the video when that white stuff came out of the penis of the one on the bottom? That's coming. It feels really good. Let me tell you.
Sorry, I had something in my throat.
Oh, okay. It is walking around and keeps hitting her bowl, and I don't know if you can hear that.
Okay, Astro breathed, just wanting the pressure in his lower regions to stop. Tony immediately obliged and took Astro's entire cock in his mouth, as it was proportional to the young boy's body that it was modelled after.
Okay, good to know.
God, I hate this fucking page. Why does it have that picture of Judge Doom melting? That's bullshit.
Because it's supposed to be that bad and that
God,
horrible. I'm
get
like,
over it.
well, but I'm not mad or anything at it so far. I'm like, this is actually pretty intelligently written. So,
Honestly, like I said, it's so true to the characters. You can really, literally hear them saying these things. I mean, yes, they may be having, you know, sexual encounter that obviously never happened in,
yeah.
in canonical works, but hey, I mean, at least it seems to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the story aside from these people were like, oh my god, it's pedophilia.
Yeah, I mean, here's an idea. Don't read it if you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Shoda, and I'd still read something if it was Shoda. I mean, we did that, that special video where I even said, I'm like, I'm fine with pedophilia, both, you know, with little boys and little girls. I'll read it. I have no problem with it. But anyway,
I mean, we recognize that this is fiction.
yeah,
It's fan fiction, which is fiction.
yeah,
So,
it's not real. Okay, just because you pretend doesn't mean you do it in real life. There's a big difference here.
I mean,
We had this discussion earlier about like video games where yeah, because you totally shoot and kill people and enjoy that in video games, you so do that in real life and want to do it in real life.
it's even if you kept it to something like fiction, holding someone to, oh my God, you wrote about this, you must be after that in real life, is about as stupid as saying that, Agatha Christie actually went out and murdered people because she wrote a lot of murder mysteries.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much on the
stupid. It's
same level.
fucking stupid. Like seriously, that is just moronic.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
anybody that would think that, and you've got to think that as an equivalent. It's just as ludicrous to say, oh yeah, mystery author, you must go out and kill people all the time. Yeah, that doesn't quite make any sense. So,
Yeah, let's see. Skipping over this dumb picture, um, Astro moaned, reflexively clutching Tony's shoulders.
good, not so tight. Tony managed around the appendage in his mouth, which would probably sound something like this. Okay, not too tight.
Wait, did I say that or did you say that?
What?
So confused. I'm like, was that your paragraph or mine?
Oh, no, that sounded so odd. Like I just said something and you asked me if I said it or you said it. That was surreal.
I'm sorry, I should have been.
Which one of us just said that? Oh my god.
Look, I know you're Yukio.
I'm having body horror experiences.
But now is not the time, Yukio. You gotta back away from this and get back into Cat Dragon. You cannot join us yet, anyway, for Bad Fanfiction Theater. I'm putting my foot down on this. No, for some reason I'm totally spacing out, and I keep like forgetting which one of us is reading what.
It's all right.
I think this next line is mine, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. Sorry, Astro squeaked and loosened his grip somewhat. Tony slowly slid his tongue out and along one side of Astro's member, keeping an eye on the boy's face meanwhile.
Tony! Astro shouted, closing his eyes. He arched his upper body back and gripped the back of the chair so tightly that it left indentations. His hips seemed to have a mind of their own, which was entirely possible, and they bucked forward with such force that Tony slid back a few inches. Muttering to himself and thus moving his lips in a remarkably wonderful-feeling way, Tony shuffled closer again. He grabbed 2 legs of the chair and prepared himself for another buck of Astro's hips, which came a second later. This time they both went skidding a couple of inches across the floor.
Tony smiled to himself.
Go ahead, that's too short.
Tony, I don't know, Astro cried, distressed. Just go with it. Oh, and don't kill me in the process.
That is important. But it is yet another thing that Tony Stark would totally say. Not really listening or understanding what Tony said, Astro backed his hips a third time, and a wonderful feeling washed over him as he, did something.
The force of Astro's orgasm shot his cum straight to the back of Tony's throat, which he instinctively swallowed. Okay, I'm going to say this, and then we're just going to keep going. How can a robot come? It's a robot.
We've discussed this before.
I know, which is why I'm like, I'm going to say this, and we're just going to keep going. Okay, good. Removing his mouth from around the now flaccid member, Tony sat back.
Astro was still in the same position, arched forward with his hands gripping the chair and eyes closed. Then he completely relaxed and slid down off the chair and into Tony's arms. He looked up and their eyes met again. Just breathe the...
Yeah.
Read the next few, so...
Okay. What was that? Tony chuckled. It's exactly what I told you it was. Orgasm. You got it. And hey, you actually can do it. Tony was smiling. Did you want me to get this? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, our hearts are reacting?
Yes, it's a thing.
Okay. Astro said suddenly with a bit of alarm. Tony glanced down, and sure enough, both of their chests were glowing. Oh, okay. A more vibrant blue than normal. Huh, take a step back.
Astro stood up and did so, but forgot that his boy shorts were still around his ankles. He tripped and landed on his back with a loud thud, causing his ass guns to go off. Oh my god. They did remember the ass guns! Causing his ass guns to go off and propel him a few feet into the air. The fire extinguisher robot immediately rushed forward and doused the entire area. Astro landed with another thud and a puddle of foam, blinking up at the ceiling. Tony's face loomed over him with a grin.
Okay. Ass lasers, ingenious! Though it does give me another reason not to go through with this. Tony's head was covered in the foam, which was slowly dripping off of him.
I'd imagine they mean the head of his dick. So, I'm just saying, I'd imagine that's what it is.
Okay, guys, next page. And in case you're confused, it's just the next page button is right above the tags. And if you're having trouble seeing it, just look in the description below for the second page, and there you are.